You guys, I'm gonna go out on a limb to start this video and say that we have never seen another situation in the NBA come even close to the degree of what we've seen with Zion Williamson. And please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but let me explain. Because, I mean, sure, the league has definitely seen their fair share of potential NBA superstars who have had their careers completely derailed due to injury, but I really just cannot think of a guy in recent memory who's had as many serious injuries this early in their career and still managed to put up the historically rare and generational numbers that Zion has continued to do up until this point. And the scariest part about all of this, well, is that the world is currently in store to get a completely new look Zion Williamson for the upcoming season, and it's not just from a physical perspective, but it will also drastically be from a playing perspective. And what exactly do I mean by this? Well, let's just jump into it. One sec though, guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy, subscribe, and turn on those notifications to never miss another NBA video. Love you guys. And believe me, now is the perfect time to do so, because according to my numbers, around 94% of you guys coming back to actually watch the content haven't even subscribed yet. Regardless though, I appreciate you, I love you all, but anyway, let's get back on topic with Zion Williamson, who, in case you guys somehow missed it this offseason, recently agreed to a 5-year, $193 million rookie extension, which also could be worth up to $231 million if he makes All-NBA recognition with the New Orleans Pelicans. And of course, as soon as this extension became public, the NBA world reacted in about the exact way you would expect, with about half the people still somehow trying to claim that he's a bust, and the other half explaining how he doesn't deserve nearly this much money. And yes, while I know the frequency of injuries he's experienced so far in his career definitely have to be a part of this conversation, but if you're going to seriously try to sit here and tell me that the Pelicans shouldn't have offered this guy the max contract, who is the same guy who scored the second most points through his first 85 games of his career, only behind Michael Jordan, I guess we'll just have to save that conversation for another day. But while the money Zion's earning within this deal did make quite a bit of noise, it wasn't what made the most noise, because after being swept under the rug initially, reports eventually came out that within Zion Williamson's new contract, he is going to have mandatory weigh-ins consistently throughout this deal to ensure his weight and body fat percentage does not exceed a total of 295. And if it ever does, he's gonna end up losing some big money. And the question's already been posed time and time again, but people are extremely curious to know how Zion feels about this being included. And to the people wondering about this, well, I mean, he signed it, so I'm pretty sure that means he thinks this is going to be more than achievable. And just for reference, over the course of Zion's 3-year career thus far, he has relatively hovered around the 280-pound range throughout this time. I mean, sure, it's also been rumored that his weight has spiked a little bit over the course of some injury off times, but nonetheless, everybody now knows that Zion is going to need to adapt to this new requirement, and it's going to be extremely anticipating to see what he's gonna look like at the beginning of this new campaign. And also, while he still obviously has a month or so to prepare before this begins, we were all given a little bit of a sneak peek of what Zion has in store within one of his recent Instagram posts. And I'm not gonna jump the gun and say already that he is currently in the best shape of his career thus far, but I will say, with all things considered, being the amount of his recovery time, his new contract, the clause within this contract, and on top of this, the revamped Pelicans team that he is set to return to, this might be a version of Zion Williamson that the world has never seen before. Because in case you guys didn't pay that much attention to Zion Williamson during his sophomore campaign in 2021, which I just want to say as well, when you actually take a look at these numbers, was immensely underappreciated. Most of the dominance that was displayed by Zion throughout this year was actually done so when the ball was put into his hands. And when I say this, I mean it in a literal sense, because we saw Zion playing point guard for this team far more than anybody probably could have predicted. Now, I'm not trying to say with this that Zion is the point guard of the future for New Orleans, but it definitely showed the front office his full realm of possibilities, and of course helped in the formation of this new look and extremely underrated New Orleans Pelicans team. Because I can very confidently say myself myself, and I'm sure anyone who watched the Pelicans post-acquisition of CJ McCollum as well, that this team was far better and extremely more talented than a 36 and 46 squad. Like, if you put CJ on this team from the jump with the type of season he was having in NOLA, it's a completely different story. And even aside from CJ, this squad's got Brandon Ingram, who is just continuing to get better. You got Jonas Valanciunas coming off of the best season of his career, not to mention standout rookies like Herbert Jones and Jose Alvarado, and you're telling me you're adding Zion Williamson to this entire mix? I'm not going to deem it a seamless success yet, as time will tell, but I will say the Pelicans are going to be one of the more entertaining, if not the most entertaining team to watch across the entire league. But even though throwing Zion into this mix initially just seems like heaven on earth, there's definitely going to be some adjustments that need to be made. Because when watching the Pelicans last year and how most of their success was found, it was pretty much just giving the ball to either CJ McCollum or Brandon Ingram. And of course, some of the numbers can absolutely testify to this, as both CJ and BI posted usage rates of just under 30% last season. And then, do you guys remember our conversation about Point Zion and how successful it was going in his sophomore year? Well, the last time he played in the NBA, his usage rate was also, believe it or not, just barely under 30%. So I mean, of course, as most people would have expected, with Zion finally returning to this team, something's gonna have to give. I would think most people would initially assume that the majority of play is gonna be ran through the 22-year-old phenom who has already been historically dominant, but I will say that is definitely not a given, because even though I do think Zion is going to be just as dominant as he was when he left the court with injury, this is still a kid that we haven't seen play basketball in a little over a year. For all we know, he could have been consistently working at some of the lackluster areas of his game right now, which, for example, could be his mid-range and perimeter shooting. Because all the way from top to bottom, whether it be experience or new acquisitions, this is a completely new Pelicans team that Zion is returning to, with some very vital pieces around him and a true opportunity to contend. And that's something that I think I can confidently say through both coaching and talent-wise, the Pelicans have yet to surround Zion with up until now. I will also say it's going to be extremely entertaining to see how the three-headed monster of CJ, BI, and Zion are going to work together, and with that situation, I'm of course also extremely curious to hear what you guys have to think about it. So please let me know in the comments, do you think the Pelicans are going to go into this situation trying to operate everything around Zion as they were doing in the past, or do you think it's more so going to be trying to fit Zion into the success scheme the Pelicans were operating with for the majority of last year? With a generational talent like Zion, it would be extremely weird to think of it in this sense, but it's definitely something that we need to consider. Also though, I want to hear your predictions for the Pelicans record in the 2023 season, and on top of that, what playoff seed they will obtain. But again, you guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to drop a like on the video down below if you enjoyed, and of course, subscribe while you're down there. We're still trying to get through the dog days of the offseason, but we've got a ton more teams with new look situations that we need to discuss, so just believe me when I say it, you do not want to miss out. But also, I just wanted to say thank you so much to each and every one of you out there for watching. I appreciate you all more than anything, you all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.